Evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rick Sloan, Park District Board of Directors, active chair for a little bit longer. I'd like to open this meeting on Wednesday, December 15th at 31 p.m. Is the recording in progress? Okay, thank you. Could we do a call to order?
Yes, thank you. For the Pledge of Allegiance this evening, I would like to welcome to the podium Tyler Pace Allen. And following the pledge, Recreation Supervisor 2 Nina Steiner will introduce Tyler.
Good evening, everybody. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Chair Sloan and members of the board. So tonight I have the pleasure of introducing Recreation Coordinator Tyler Pace Allen. Tyler's been with the district for about 6 months, and he's housed at the Mather Sports Center. We're office mates, so we're office mates. Tyler's primary responsibilities are handling all athletic field and facility rentals district-wide. Tyler also provides assistance and insight in staff trainings, program and league planning for youth and adult sports and special events, and general operations at the Mather Sports Center. Tyler's, some fun facts about Tyler is that he worked as a camp leader at Camp Cordova in 2016, and his camp name was Drinks. Tyler is an avid Dodgers and Cowboys fan. Go Giants. He's a youth pastor at the Common Ground Covenant Church, and he'll be celebrating 2 years of marriage to his beautiful wife, Joy, in April. And his favorite park is Heron Landing Community Park. Tyler has infectious energy and has been an absolute pleasure to work with, and I really look forward to his continued success at CRPD. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, I'd like to have a roll call.
Director Danzel.
Here.
Director Yearwood.
Here.
Secretary Reyes.
Here.
Vice Chair Lineback.
Here.
And Chair Sloan.
Present. I'd like to ask my board of directors if they have any disclosure items to bring forward at this time. Director Danzel?
None.
Director Yearwood?
None.
Secretary Reyes?
None.
Vice Chair Lineback?
None.
And I have none either. Which brings us to B, comments by the public.
Thank you. Members of the public may address the board on district topics not listed on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. It's a violation of state law for the board to discuss or take action on non-agenda items. Board members may only briefly ask clarifying questions or refer the matter to staff. And at this time, I do not have any requests to comment.
Thank you. Which takes us down to the consent calendar. Item C.
Thank you. Consent calendar items are considered administratively routine and will be acted upon in one motion unless separate action on a specific item is necessary. The chairperson will consider any request for discussion on the items prior to approval of the consent calendar. And this evening, we have 3 items for your consideration.
Would anybody from the public care to pull an item from the consent calendar? No? Anybody, board members?
Chair Sloan, I would like to pull item C2. I have a question on one of the expenses.
Okay. Any district staff want to pull anything? No? Okay, with that, I'll take a motion for 1 and 3.
I move we approve consent items C1 and C3.
Motion by Vice Chair Lineback,
Second.
second by Director Danzel. Roll call vote.
Director Danzel,
Aye.
Director Yearwood,
Aye.
Secretary Reyes,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback,
Aye.
Chair Sloan.
Aye.
Okay. My question on C2, District Financial Report, simply a quick question on page 18, Matt, where we see the replacement of hose bibs at the Cordova Community Pool. That's 22,300, and I'm just like saying, isn't this kind of like a new pool? And now we're replacing hose bibs? How often do we do that? So that was my question.
I can certainly answer that. Laura Taylor, Park Planning and Development Manager. So that project is actually a project that was requested by the Cordova Community Council. And it is to expand the capability of the food trucks and the vendors that come in. And so it is going to be fully 100% reimbursed. And it's a new project, and it didn't have anything with replacing anything related to the pool project, although it was, because part of it was within the construction boundary of the pool project, where they were doing grading and changing some of the utilities, we had to closely coordinate it with the pool project.
Okay, so my understanding is the 22.3 is going to be reimbursed.
Yes.
So it will not be showing up, there should be a reimbursement paid on that, and it should not be showing up later on as an expense that had, just had to be done. And will that be coming from because hold on. It's a My Parks fund that you're using to pay for it, but this is coming from the Cordova Community Council?
Yeah, since we're doing the project, it's going to be a reimbursement, so we have to add it in as an expense, but then we're going to get a revenue transaction on the other side of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all. So, Chair Sloan, unless there's any more questions, I would like to move that we approve consent calendar C3.
I have a motion by Director Reyes for C2. C2, you mean?
C2, sorry.
Second.
Second by Director Danzel. Roll call vote.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Secretary Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye. I just licked my finger to turn the page. Doesn't work. That takes us to D, presentations. We have none. Committee reports, we have none. Public hearings, we have none of those either. Now it brings us to G, our regular calendar, G1.
Thank you. Item G1 is to adopt Resolution 21/22-23 and authorize the general manager to record the grantee conveying title of real property of APN number 067-0650-053, known as Sunridge Lot B. And I'd like to welcome landscape architect Christina James to present on the item.
Thank you, Danielle. Good evening, Chair Sloan and members of the board. The district and Sunridge Park, LLC, entered into a park development agreement on April 24th, 2006 for Sunridge Park. Within the agreement, the district agreed to accept certain dedicated land. Lot B is a 0.8-acre parcel located adjacent to the future Exploration Park in the Cresley Homes development. The parcel has been now properly rough graded according to the terms of the PDA. Accepting this parcel will expand the size of the future turnkey park, and the two parcels will be designed and constructed concurrently. The Cresley Homes developer will require reimbursement from the district for the improvements to be located on the Sunridge parcel, and the terms of reimbursement are very detailed in the PDA with Cresley Homes. These improvements are anticipated to be landscaping and irrigation only. Tonight, staff is bringing the parcel before the board for their review, acceptance, and approval, and I'm available to answer any questions the board might have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments from the public on this item?
I don't have any requests.
Board of Directors, Director Danzel,
None.
Director Yearwood?
Just one quick question. So it's like a thin sliver of land, right?
Correct.
Is there anything that says what it's going to cost to develop that, or has that already been factored into our original?
The PDA is very specific on the maximum allowable reimbursable amount. But in terms of the actual dollar amount, that will be specifically estimated, and that will be the number that we will reimburse.
Okay, so, but its cost of that development, that part's already been factored into what's been allocated, so in a sense, right?
Correct. So the Cresley Homes consultant has a cost estimate where that little piece is separated, is broken out. And the PDA is very specific on the maximum allowable amount. 398,636.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Secretary Reyes,
I had about the same kind of question. She's answered it. Thank you very much.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So is there some reason why that wasn't included in the original plan?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to refer that to Laura Taylor.
Okay, so the original Sunridge neighborhood, which is the same neighborhood where our Sunridge Park is built, in their Quimby Parkland dedications that were approved prior to my time, but what's in the PDA is they dedicated the land for Sunridge Park, and then they also, this little 0.8 acre parcel is right next to a elementary school parcel, and you're probably familiar with the fact that it's common to put neighborhood parks immediately adjacent to the school parcel. And so there was just this little sliver that was left over, but also because of the master planning that had been done in that whole area, we knew, or I should say CRPD knew, whoever was here before me, anticipated that it could be made contiguous with the neighborhood park acreage that Sunridge, or that Cresley Homes would be dedicating. And so it worked out, basically. And it was pre-planned, but it took the part that was kind of hard to navigate after the fact, as someone new coming in trying to pick up all the pieces, was the timing of the grading of that 0.8 acre parcel. And, we did have to really work hard to get the developer to get it graded so that they could dedicate it to us in time to incorporate the construction in with the adjacent Cresley Homes parcel. So does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
more or less.
All right.
I don't know, the other question is probably Christina could answer, but it is about, in fact, the cost of the landscaping and irrigation. That's just going to come out of assessment funds from the district?
Right, so the Sunridge subdivision also paid park impact fees, and so it's going to be reimbursed out of that pot of park impact fees that have been collected, and it was accounted for, and so that should work out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And I don't have any questions. Most of them were addressed. So I'd like to have a motion on G1, please.
I'll move the Board of Directors adopt Resolution 21/22-23 and authorize the general manager to record the grant deed conveying title of real property of APN 067-0650-053, known as Sunridge Lot B.
I have a motion by Director Yearwood.
Second.
Second by Secretary Reyes. Roll call vote, please.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Secretary Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye. That brings us to G2.
Thank you. Item G2 is to approve the Rio del Oro Neighborhood Park 67 concept plan and authorize the general manager to instruct Elliott Homes to proceed with the development and construction of the park. And I'll invite Christina up again.
Good evening, Chair Sloan and members of the board. I'm excited to be able to present this item to you tonight. And I wanted just to let you know that the developer, Price Walker, is in the audience, and after I give my presentation, he'd like to say a few words. Also in the audience is Greg Hauser, the developer's landscape architectural consultant. And tonight, we're recommending approval of the Rio del Oro Neighborhood Park 67 concept plan. On March 17th of this year, the board executed a park development agreement with Alta Vista LLC, an Arizona limited liability company. The purpose of that PDA is to establish the land dedication obligation and to outline the specifics for the development of parks within the subdivision. At build-out, the Rio del Oro specific plan will provide approximately 161 acres of parkland comprised of 10 neighborhood parks and totaling 57.8 acres and one community park totaling approximately 121 acres. This park, the first of that large development, is 5.1 acres and is located in the northwest corner of the development, just south of White Rock Road. And there's a map in your packets.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt you, but I can't open my board packet on my laptop here, on my tablet. Can you show me that? Can you bring it up on here, Matt? Or someone else try to figure out what's wrong with this thing? I can download other PDFs, but all these emails, I can't download the attachment. I don't know why.
So we'll work on it if we can keep going with the presentation.
I just want to see the map. Thanks. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I could put the paper here. I mean, you saw it
okay.
before.
Great, do that. Figure this out.
Okay.
Nice hands.
Here's the map, Director Sloan.
It's upside down.
Oops.
Thanks.
So
Okay.
we're here.
All right.
This is White Rock Road.
Okay, I see.
And this is all the Rio del Oro development. There's Sunrise.
So this park we're talking about right now is where?
Is right up here.
And you have a detailed, the next one is more detailed of that, just that one parcel?
This is that, the
Yeah, let's see it.
plan.
Oh, cool, okay.
Let's see. Where I was. The park design uses a mining theme that's inspired by the region's history. So I'll show you. There's an example of one of the features of the park. It's a little mining cart. And that's located in a couple of places on the plan. The plan includes themed playground elements that have a Gold Rush theme, the cart, also a preschool-age digging area, accessible swings, a shaded climbing play apparatus, and then the site will also have interpretive signage discussing mining history of the region. The park uses drought-tolerant landscaping, cobbles, and boulders to minimize water use, and it also includes a picnic area with a shade structure that will match the park's theme. Game tables are proposed, which is something we have not done yet in the district, and a half basketball court is included as an additive alternate.
Where is that gonna be?
So The half basketball would be on this side. This current plan shows the base bid only. This is the picnic area right in here. This is the area with game tables that would be sort of a bosque shaded area. And then this whole area is the playground area. And you can see the shade structure there with swings, climber, multiple play features. And then this would be a landscaped hill with boulders. And then along this edge, typically our park edges aren't really used. So we've tried to eliminate or reduce turf in those areas. HLA designed a cobble swale that would be landscaped in those areas. And then we have the multi-use turf area, which is well-used, typically part of our neighborhood parks.
Great. That's a full-size soccer field?
No.
Oh, it's not small?
Yeah,
Smaller?
it would be. So staff has reviewed the plan in conjunction with the Rio del Oro Park Development Agreement, the preliminary district-wide facilities plan, and our construction standards. Upon board approval, the developer's consultant will begin construction documents, and the developer anticipates construction to begin on this park in summer 2022. Now, if you'll allow me to let Mr. Walker come up and say a few words.
Thank you.
Hey, Christine. Chairperson and board members, Price Walker with Elliott Homes. Just want to thank you for having me tonight. It's been actually a long time coming to get to this point. If you look back to Rio del Oro, it's been a really long time. We've owned that property for nearly 20 years, believe it or not. And it seems like a long time since March also. It was kind of as you know, I'll just say kind of a summer full of unpleasantries on our Rio del Oro Park Development Agreement. But I want to assure you that Elliott, throughout that process, was working, if not directly with staff during some of that time, certainly indirectly with staff. And then once I'll just say kind of the city got out of the way, we were able to work directly with staff and have been, probably meeting with Christine and Christina and Laura probably a couple times a week. And I really want to thank them and commend them for responsiveness and eagerness to get this project done. Matt was also a big help in working with us on the budget. We have a budget that we think we can meet, and a really, I think, really cool park that we're excited to build. We have 8 models out of the air already, finally, and I don't know if you've been out there. It's kind of hard to get there right now with White Rock Road being what it is, but we have actually 8 models out of the air, and are going to start this park as soon as this rain goes away. That's great. And I would really like to recommend, or have you recommend approval tonight. The one item I want to touch on that is the following item, is I don't really have a strong sense of the name, but I would really like to ask you to put the word gold in the name. The Rio del Oro is kind of the theme, and those were a couple of suggestions, and if you want to even do some other variation of that, but I would like to have the word gold in there if that fits your pleasure.
We can work on that, as long as it's not gold digger.
I don't want that either. And I'm certainly here to answer any questions.
Thank you.
You got it.
Director Danzel,
I'm good with everything on this.
Director Yearwood,
None for me.
Secretary Reyes.
Price, I just wanted to tell you that even on this side, it was quite a relief to get all that all of a sudden distraction out of the way. And it's been our knowledge that staff and yourself, the developers, have worked very well together. And unfortunately, a little bit of a zigzag here, but I'm so glad it was able to get back on track, and we're looking forward to this very much. Thank you.
Vice Chair Limbach?
I just wanted to say, I thought the concept was, creative and adorable. I really like it. So.
My question is though, that mining type of cart, it looked like there was stuff in there where kids could actually go and sift through it or something and find things, or what is it?
No, the card itself is more like a sculptural piece, a solid piece. There is an area in the playground, though, where kids can dig, and that's shown on plan. And that would be more like for toddlers. Yeah, but that piece itself, for safety, it's not climbable. It doesn't
Right.
have, yeah.
And that soccer field is just, it's not gonna be lined out. Will be leveled and everything perfectly for soccer? It was just gonna be a green open space?
It'll be graded properly so that it can be played on.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not, we typically don't stripe.
Right, just
They're multi-use turf fields.
Just to show the scale. Yeah,
Right,
it looks
correct.
nice. That's nice. Any overhead wiring or stuff like that we have to worry about?
Not in this one.
Cool, great. Well, I think that's fantastic, and I'm glad we're moving forward on this. It looks like it's gonna be another award-winning park. Thank you, Price. Appreciate it. With that, I'd like to honor a motion on this item.
I'd
We
like,
have, I'm sorry, did we have some comment from
Oh, public.
Mr. Hauser?
Mr. Hauser.
Not at this time. He was present, though, to answer any questions that might come up regarding the design.
Oh, so Hauser did the design? Which one's Hauser? Doogie Hauser. Good job, buddy. Did a great job. It looks nice. It's the only area view I'd like to dive into it, but I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. Thank you.
okay, so Chair Sloan, I'd like to recommend that we approve the Del Oro Neighborhood Park 67 concept plan and authorize the general manager to instruct Elliott Homes to proceed with the development and construction of the park.
I have a motion by Secretary Reyes,
Second?
second by Director Danzel. Roll call vote, please.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Secretary Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Limbach?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye. Okay, that brings us to G3, which is going to be naming this.
Thank you. Item G3 is to approve a name for the future park in the Rio del Oro development, currently known as RDO Neighborhood Park 67. And I'll turn it back over to Christina.
Chair Sloan and members of the board, we're at the item where we get to pick a name for this new park site. And the Board of Directors, as in other policy matters, has the final discretion in the name selection for the park. So developer and district staff have coordinated on proposing several names for your consideration. Tonight, we bring to you the following names: Gold Rush Park, Mine Trolley Park, Gold Mine Park, and Frontier Park. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Gold Rush, Gold Mine, what was the other one?
Mine, Trolley,
What?
and Frontier.
Frontier Park? I'm missing one. Gold Rush, Gold Mine, Frontier, and
Mine, Trolley.
Mine Trolley.
Official name of the art piece.
All right. Well, it doesn't have gold in it, though.
Well, you can add it.
Director Danzel, what's your thoughts? Or does there anybody have any other ideas, or gold?
Mr. Walker kind of, asked for something, and he's made big strides trying to keep this on track. So I'd like to keep with something as his request. So as of right now, the Gold Rush is probably my favorite. I'm always doing my research on names. There is a gold mine park already, but it's in Georgia, so I think we're okay. But right out of those four, my favorite would be Gold Rush.
Director Yearwood?
Yeah, I have to admit, I did the same thing. That's since I looked to see, make sure none of these park names existed in our area, which I assume you guys probably did as well.
We did. I noticed there was a Frontier Park in Southern California, but none up here.
Yeah, if somebody mistakens that's quite a mistake. I'm fine with, I assume is that gonna be a theme, we think, throughout the whole subdivision? To try to incorporate kind of gold era or that kind of? But, okay. Yeah, I'm fine with Gold Rush myself, so, gold mine's fine for me too, so.
Secretary Reyes?
I mean, it's one of the golds, so I was thinking that a gold mine park right away would make the kids and the families say, oh, we're supposed to be mining for gold and all this. Gold Rush is also a good one, but then you have to go through the history of telling the little kids that the part of it is mining for gold. So I'll any one of those. I like the sound of Gold Mine Park.
Chair Linebaugh?
I'm neutral on the subject. Gold Rush, Gold Mine, I'm fine with either one. Yeah, Gold Mine's kind of cute. Yeah.
Well, I'm leaning towards the Gold Rush because it's a more broader term. I think it's more educational in the Gold Rush and that theme. So, that's two words, right? Gold Rush. Gold Rush. There is a Gold Rush mobile home park in Sacramento. But, so, does someone want to make a motion? Because I like Gold Rush. I think I heard two other directors say Gold Rush, so.
I'll make the motion if everybody's, I move, hold on. There we go. I move Board of Directors approve Gold Rush Park as the name for the turnkey neighborhood park in the Rio de Loros development.
I have a motion by Director Yearwood,
Second?
second by Director Danzel. Roll call vote.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Director-
Secretary
Oh,
Reyes?
sorry.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye. Gold Rush.
Thank
You
you.
got it. All right.
There you
Clyde.
go.
Hopefully the price of gold goes down.
It's a gold rush out there.
Yeah. Gold, the price of gold will go down while we're building it, and then it'll go up later on. Okay, that takes us to item number G4.
Thank you, Chair Sloan. Item G4 is to adopt Resolution 21/22-24, amending Cordova Recreation and Park District Ordinance 20/21-02, and amending the district's park impact fee and park impact fee nexus study for the unincorporated Sacramento County area of the CRPD. And I'd like to welcome Manager Taylor to report on this item.
Thank you, Clerk Jones. I do know that we have one request for public comment, and that must come after my presentation. Okay, great. Okay. So, thank you, Chair Sloan and members of the board for giving me the opportunity to present this item. On May 19th, 2021, the Board of Directors conducted a public hearing presentation on the 2021 Nexus Study and Park Impact Fee for the unincorporated area of Sacramento County. Staff presented the extensive 8-year process to develop a Nexus Study and Park Development Fee that was supported by county staff and development community. The North State Building Industry Association, also known as the BIA, and developers had significant input throughout the 8 years that resulted in the proposed fee. While the BIA and the developers didn't get everything they asked for, the district staff addressed and provided justification to them for all of the items that they brought up during that 8-year process. although, okay, so the other thing is that we then had the public hearing and there was no public comment received before, during, or after the CRPD's public hearing process. The district's May 19th public hearing presentation demonstrated findings that Sacramento County would not support the district's 2014 board-approved level of service. And level of service basically means the number of items or facilities that we're going to place in our future parks. And so reductions to the district's 2014 level of service were recommended to address the county policies and the input that we had received from the BIA and the development community. The changes that we made reduced the fees approximately 12.4% from the district's 2014 Nexus study. So we lowered it from, in 2021 values, from $10,535.82, which was the 2021 values, down to $9,107.37 per single-family residence. And that was a total reduction of $1,428.45. In the unincorporated areas of the district, CRPD's Nexus Study and Park Impact Fee must be implemented and imposed through the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. So immediately after the district board's approval, we submitted the 2021 Nexus Study to county staff to bring before the Board of Supervisors for implementation. Concurrent with the district's request for the Board of Supervisors to implement CRPD's Park Development Impact Fee, the BIA produced a report about Sacramento County's overall impact fee burden and feasibility of housing development. The scheduling of the Board of Supervisors' first public hearing on CRPD park fees was postponed 2 times to allow the BIA to finish their overall analysis of Sacramento County's total impact fee burden. The BIA also commissioned consultants to study CRPD's proposed fee and submitted several reports to the Board of Supervisors. In general, what staff and our consultants found was the objections that were raised in the BIA's letters and consultants' reports were found to be repetitive of comments made several times over the 8 years of negotiations. CRPD consultants and staff provided written responses for all of the BIA's comments. The BIA's reports and CRPD's responses were included in the public record for the public hearings with the Board of Supervisors. At each Board of Supervisor public hearing, there were last-minute submittals by the BIA and that caused concern for the Board of Supervisors. And so each time, the Board of Supervisors voted to continue the public hearing, directing the county staff to provide additional information in response to the BIA comments. CRPD staff and legal counsel have conducted a preliminary review of the BIA's last letter to the Board of Supervisors on the day of the December 7th public hearing. And we haven't found anything of consequence that would disqualify CRPD's 2021 Nexus study. So the Sacramento County staff and CRPD will provide a more thorough review and written response to the BIA's December 7th letter prior to the tentatively scheduled January 11th, 2022 continued Board of Supervisor public hearing. At the December 7th county public hearing, the Board of Supervisors stated that they hoped to see a further reduction in the CRPD fee. County legal staff commented that any reduction in the fee needed to be justified. Although county and district staff have confidently defended the district's 2021 Nexus study and park development impact fee, it is possible that the Board of Supervisors may not implement the fee unless CRPD makes further reductions. Upon reflection of the input received from the Board of Supervisors and BIA on December 7th, district staff recommends the District Board of Directors approve reducing CRPD's administrative fee component by 1% and removal of the Art in the Park component for 2%. These two items will not require a further reduction in our level of service, such as removal of more facilities from our future parks in the county areas. And it would reduce the fee to $8,874.11 for a single-family residence. So that now totals 15.8% reduction from our 2014 Nexus study fee levels. And in your packet, you have the detailed reductions for the different types of the housing units, and so I'm not going to read all of those individually. All of the other elements of the Nexus study and the park development impact fee, such as the annual adjustments, will remain as previously approved. So as far as the fiscal impact goes of this, adequate funding for the design and construction of future parks requires that a park impact fee based on the capital improvement plan be collected from new development. The BIA's latest letter relies on the concept of reducing the park acreage to be dedicated to the district to 2.79 acres per thousand, instead of what the county code currently requires, which is 4.87 acres per 1,000 residents. The land use plans for the 4 major projects along the Jackson Highway have been set in 3 of the 4 master plans. CRPD staff met with the owners of the 4th master plan on December 3rd, and they have no plans to drop or reduce their park acres that are currently in their master plan. So therefore, all 4 of those master plans that will bring 51,000 new residents approximately have all been designed at either 4.87 acres per thousand residents, or even in the case of Newbridge and Mather South, 5 acres per thousand. So the proposed adjustments to the 2021 Nexus study and the proposed park development impact fee reductions that you are considering tonight have been documented and justified in the staff report and attachment. The adjustments must be approved by the District Board of Directors to provide the legal documentation required by the Sacramento County Land Authorities to adopt and collect the park impact fee from the new development. If the Board of Directors approves the proposed reductions, then these documents will then be forwarded to the County Board of Supervisors and county staff for modification of the county staff report, resolution, and ordinance to be presented at the continued Board of Supervisors public hearing that's tentatively scheduled for January 11th of 2022. Until the Board of Supervisors formally implements the revised fee, CRPD staff will utilize the district's board-approved revised fee amount as the basis for finance plans of development projects in the unincorporated Sacramento County area of the district, and we will do that on a project-by-project basis. So that concludes my summary of the staff report that you have. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. CFO Goodell and Patrick Larkin have been on this journey, and I might have to defer to them. Also, we have Bob Thurbin, our legal counsel, in the audience, if there's any questions that pertain to that.
Yes, I have one public comment request. I'd like to welcome to the podium Chris Norum. And you will have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, or evening. Chris Norum, North State BIA. We represent the development industry in the particular subject area. I wanted to clarify a couple of comments that were made, and one is regarding the timing of the Nexus study. That Nexus study was actually made available only several days before your board was asked to approve it. We did not have the time to thoroughly analyze it. Interestingly, it actually was published in March, but not made available to us until 2 days before the approval of the hearing. When we had made our intention, knowing that we were putting a consultant under contract to review this, and we told the county staff and your staff that we were going to bring it and have it analyzed, both parties chose to try to schedule a board meeting regardless of what our input would be. So we developed our analysis of it, and our analysis showed that you were well below the threshold for reaching the 4.7 acres necessary. And I think we just have legal disputes about where we're at with this, but we appreciate the fact that the Park District is looking at making a reduction. It's a 3% reduction from where you're at now. Our objective is, in principle, to make sure that we have a fair and balanced park system that also doesn't drive up costs to the new homeowners in the region. Our goal is to get homeowners into houses. So, I think that we had submitted a proposal that the actual park fee should be around $5,000. When Laura mentioned that the park fee originally was $10,000, that one part that gets overlooked is that was at that time close to double the regional average in cost. Your park fee now is still higher than 75% of the other park districts in the region. We're asking for a fee that is closer to the median, and we believe it's closer to 5,000 is what it should be, but we've even offered in our latest communication to find a way to get it to 7,000 to meet mutual objectives. So our position remains that we're opposed to this fee at the current level unless it's amended, and our belief is that the Board of Supervisors will not accept what this proposal as it is right now, this minor change. But if your staff and you would like to have a further detailed discussion that is actually meaningful about truly reducing it and how we could do that, we would be more than happy to have that discussion. So thank you so much.
So here's my question. I've watched the county talk about this, and the county says that Sacramento is one of the highest places to live in the United States, which I find is really interesting. If we reduce our fees, does that mean you're going to drop house prices also? Because if we're going to drop our fees, you should be dropping yours. I don't see that happening.
We are advocating for reductions in costs across a variety of areas, not just in parks.
Correct, but so that means you're asking for not just parks, but roads, does that mean your house prices are gonna drop? So the county doesn't turn around and say that our builders are charging more than anybody else in the country? Because that's what they're saying right now. I've listened to that county staff and that county board turn around and say, we're one of the highest in the nation for building right now. We're one of the few that are building, but they're saying that we've got the highest prices, so if we drop ours, are you gonna drop yours?
Yeah, the region has, the analysis that we performed indicates that the region has, on average, it's $100,000 per door in fees. And we have a competitive marketplace in this region where there are a number of builders operating. If you lower fees on a number of places, then they're all competing with each other, so those costs reflect the market, yeah. I mean, I don't work for the individual builders. I'm not in a
I know
position
you
to promise you what is going to happen to house prices. There are a variety of things in the market that we cannot control. Some labor costs, environmental costs, a variety of things that we can't control, but we can control the costs of the fees that this board has jurisdiction over. So I appreciate your sensitivity to it. I understand that we're in a position now where we're asking people, lots of people across the board, to look more closely at what they're doing, to see if we can work together to try to get the costs under control. I understand your position, but I mean, we're trying to do this across the board. It's not just parks.
No, I understand that. I
Yeah.
mean, but that's why I'm coming and asking you, if we do ours, and if you find a way to get roads to drop and this to drop, if everything dropped the way that you want it to the cost that you feel it needs to be, or house price is gonna come down.
I'm not in the position of, being able to predict future housing prices. But I can tell you, all I can tell you is what I said just a minute ago, which is that it's a competitive marketplace. And if you have certain costs that are reduced, you're going to have, the free market is going to dictate that folks are only going to be able to charge so much because they're going to get undercut by their competition.
Okay.
I am of the mind that all the work that has been done has been fine, great work. And I think it's been stated here, if we lower it this amount, it's still not enough. So why am I wasting my time even considering this? As far as I'm concerned, it can stay the way it is without an amendment.
Secretary Reyes?
Well, it's interesting because of exactly, I watched, oh my God, there were hours of watching all the Board of Soup. And what I couldn't understand was the sole focus was on parks. Not roads, not water, sewage, not electrical, nothing. And even the BIA did not really bring that to the future. And real estate, I'm a realtor too. I can guarantee parks sell homes. People look, where's the park? What are you going to do here? I'm a little disappointed that we already had to bring down the amenities, so you don't have the same we won't have you would have subdivision next to each other, county and city of Rancho Cordova. And there will be later on residents that'll say, why are all the award-winning parks over there? They pay the price. I mean, you don't live in Beverly Hills and want to pay, other prices. And what I'm concerned about is even the acreage of parks. And building is going crazy. I don't care what you say. Building is going crazy. Families are moving here. Bay Area from all over are moving here because of the ability to have a home, afford a home, and have the parks and your family life and all this. And I'm quite surprised that you'd like to the BIA is recommending reducing park acreage from 4.87 to 2.78. I mean, it's it's really hard, Chris. It's really hard to look at this and see that the burden, all the focus is on the parks. And when you stop and you see the costs involved, others are the hilt, the parks, which will last longer than anything and which really sells homes. Because when people come, they don't look at the pipes or the electricals or whatever. Okay, so I understand that there's a reasonable need for developers to want to reduce the cost of building anything. And I feel the same way. I mean, the prices are still not going to come down. The prices, the demand is there. I don't care what you call competition. You know it. You've seen construction. They'll stay where they are. And so I'm really disappointed. I'm even disappointed that in the process of trying to, and I know for the last 8 years, I know the work that that staff has been doing, answering questions, making, and finally getting to where everyone was speaking the same language. And my first question was, what? They want to reduce the fees, and then they're going to look across and say, why are there parks? What did they do? They took some amenities off, right, Laura? County took out what? Spray parks. County took out, what else were taken off to even bring it to this point where the PDA, the Nexus study that the city of Rancho Cordova has, and the county is going to be different. But I applauded staff for taking that out of the box look. But what did they removed, right?
Right. So,
Amenities?
yes. So some of the items that were removed were, we removed artificial turf fields from the county areas. We removed large gathering areas. That was specifically a request from the BIA, which included a marketplace and a large amphitheater. And those things were removed. We removed some large picnic shelters. Pardon? Yep, reduced the spray park numbers.
So I think maybe here's the interesting thing. I think the public, I think the residents or future residents of these places should be well aware, that you're buying here and these are the amenities of the parks. Don't come later on and say to us, why does this park, why is it so tiny for the number of people?
The other big item that was removed was the aquatic center out of the county area. Because the county policy says that they will support either a community center or an aquatic center, but not both. And so the aquatic center was removed from the fee structure as well.
And I think that the residents around there should be aware that that's what's being done, asked of us. Because I do remember when we were building Heron Landing, I do remember that there was so much concerns and anguish and angriness because 6 years it took for the park to even break ground. And then people were saying, oh, our kids are already going out, we don't even have a park. So I know that's one of the things that sell homes, parks, without a doubt. And this here amount, so small compared to all the others that I don't think was really addressed as burdens. It was just straight out. And unfortunately, the Board of Supervisors are expecting to be educated in all this very quickly and just deal with a strong sentiment. I wonder if the developers even know that this is what's being negotiated. Do they know that they're going to have smaller parks, tinier parks? Do they know that that the people that will be buying will have to be told? I remember we had times when they're like, the developer said this was going to be a big park. Well, it wasn't. It was a neighborhood park or a community park. So I am not for the reduction of space. I am concerned about the burdens that the impact fees that of the others that they haven't even addressed reducing, but they just keep going out. And I understand costs go up, and parks to be maintained, parks to be built, costs go up. I mean, our costs don't go down, okay, to deliver the same thing. So it's really, with a heavy heart, I'm like, staff, what are we doing? Still reducing? Okay, are you sure the amenities will not be reduced? Because the residents deserve amenities. So you're telling me that right now, this is our super bottom line. Do you want us to take everyone out? Now you won't even have people to work to provide the competence, the expertise, and to build these parks. We have costs too. We cannot, we are supposed to spend it in the place where it's supposed to be spent, not get it from another site that is willing to give it. I was going to ask you about the other developers, Patrick, about the other developers. I know there was one that was moving forward with a PDA. And so my question is, right now, how are we functioning? We're telling them, here's the PDA that we would like to have with you. Here's the cost, here's why, here's everything. And they say, fine, we're on board. So they sign individually, correct? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get some uniformity and ease more for not only our parks, our developers, but even the county. Am I right?
That's exactly right. And so the latest one was Jackson Township, I believe. Went to the Planning Commission at the county with the fee that we're proposing to the Board of Supervisors and worked their numbers in their finance plan according to that number pending the Board of Supervisors approval, which means now out of the 4 main developers, master developers in that area, 3 of the 4 are okay and have planned and submitted their filings with that current number. And Laura indicated earlier, we reached out to the 4th and they seem to be fine with using that number that we have in the Nexus study being proposed.
Okay, so if that's the case, then my only other last question here is, because I kind of feel the same way as Mr. Yearwood here, you know, Director Yearwood here. It's kind of like, if it's not gonna be accepted, and the thing is, if they don't accept it, then what do? Our next choice is just to work one-on-one with the developers, which is what we're doing right now. Okay.
I
So-
do need to make a correction. When I reached out to the 4th master developer, we were talking strictly about the number of park acres, and in that meeting, we did not talk about the park fee level. However, in previous comment letters, we had told them what we would anticipate the park fee to be based on our 2014 Nexus study. But that, it's too early in the process for them on the park fee for the 4th developer, and that would be what's called the West Jackson Highway Master Plan.
But the acreage is on the 4.87.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's my only comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say all this. And well, I'll start with the fact that I too watched the county Board of Supervisors meetings, and repeatedly there was a conflation of the fees between trails and parks. And since the Park District has nothing to do with trails, and we do not get the trail fees, in fact, the trail fees go to the county, we didn't understand how it was that those fees were aggregated. Well, you know, we have to pay 3-point-odd% for trails and then this percent for parks. They're 2 separate issues. Talk to the county about their trails fees. Don't talk to us about the trails fee. We have nothing to do with it. The other thing was that while the Nexus study addresses Sacramento County Code when it comes to acreages and allowable amenities and things of that sort. They weren't offering, Sacramento County was not offering to change the code. They merely were looking to have the parks reduce the fee. So we have to speak to the same code, but just do it with less. And in the meantime, I didn't see them offering to reduce their own fees. I also, just financially, you want to talk about if there's a reduction in these fees, will you reduce the cost of a home. I'll just give you a couple of statistics that I looked up. Anybody can Google this. Since 2014, which is when the Nexus study was first published, not in 2021, by the way, there has been an increase in inflation of 17.44%. And in the county of Sacramento, not nationwide, in the county of Sacramento, there's been 88% increase in the cost of homes. So regardless of the construction costs, the fees, or what have you, the developer is going to charge what the market will bear. And that is capitalism. But to associate the size of the fee with the affordability of the homes is not looking at it correctly, because the cost of the home is what the market will bear. And if at a certain point, the housing market tanks, developers stop building. They don't take losses, right? And their homes won't sell, so they stop building. But when they can build, they will charge what the market will bear. And right now, the market is bearing an awful lot. And the difference between inflation and the cost of the homes, and this is capitalism, so more power to them, is going into the developer's pocket. So I think it is disingenuous to act as if this fee is causing these homes to be unaffordable. I also wonder how you come up with a number like 5,000 or 7,000 without taking into consideration what we are able to do with that money for the residents you want to sell homes to. What kind of parks can we offer them for that money? We cannot offer them the kinds of parks they really want to see and deserve. So, I haven't seen that the number is associated specifically with what is going to be delivered to the people in the area in these parks. And, oh gosh, what else is there? Oh, in listening to the county Board of Supervisors meetings, and you brought this up tonight, Chris, was the average fee. Well, you're basing the average fee on unlike districts. And the fact is that there's a big difference between infill, where you're adding, 5,000 residents to an area because a new, apartment complex is going up or whatever, compared to development where you're talking about adding tens of thousands of residents, and these are all going to be brand new facilities for these residents. So I'm not feeling it. I don't really get the justification. I think that you have to have roads, you have to have utilities, but if you want to sell your homes, you have to have parks. And as we know, our own CFO did an analysis, and the change in the sales price of homes that are in areas that have parks is more than the cost of our fee. So you take that $10,000 fee and you can increase the price you get for that home by more than $30,000. So why would you even want to reduce the value that you're trying to offer your potential buyers? So on so many levels, I think the Park District has perhaps conceded more than they ought to have to this point, and I see no reason to continue to concede. So those are my comments.
Okay, my turn. First of all, it hurts me even to hear the reduction when I hear art in the park being reduced. I'm not sure what that 2% fee was actually going to be. Was it going to be something that was gonna be actual sculpture or something that was gonna be kind of cool, like our Gold Rush Park is gonna have a model of a cart, right? That's art. So that, all of a sudden, that would disappear?
Yeah, so, we just got done negotiating the design of the Rio del Oro Neighborhood Park, which you guys, we are now gonna call it Gold Rush Park, right? And certainly, that 2% Art in the Park fee became very important as we were trying to cost out how to make that park have a sense of place with the theme.
Right.
And we had to rely on that to include the artistic embellishments in order to allow that park to have that extra sense of place. And so that's a very recent example. Of course, you guys, on the neighborhood park that was the exploration park, the 2% art fee definitely came into play in that. And so that is currently how that affects our parks. So that will affect parks in the county, and they won't have some element of those artistic embellishments.
Right. Thank you. See, that's what's really sad about the whole issue is the compromise here is, I'm sort of thinking about that movie, It's a Wonderful Life, when George Bailey has realized, what the world would be like without him being born, and he's running through Bedford Falls, and it's not Bedford Falls anymore, it's Potter's Field, and it's got some of the cheapest homes built, and their parks probably were just a bunch of grass out there with weeds and different hills that the kids could roll down. That's probably it. And then I thought of other images of there was a bunch of little girls out there. I don't know what they were going to do, singing in some program over here in another room. And I thought if we had a bunch of kids in here, and you label those two kids are going to be a full court basketball court, and that kid's a swing. That's a bocce court, and that's a slide. This little child's a pickleball court. And all of a sudden, we're going to say, sorry, you have to leave pickleball court. Bye. Go outside. One of you basketball court people, leave. Well, we only have a half court now. We can't have full court anymore. Swings, sorry, one swing has to leave. We're going to have one swing. We can't have two now. It's like we keep cutting these things that your kids, if they're growing up and they buy a house there, are going to have so many much more memories than the sewage or the street, electrical boxes, whatever around that house development. That park is what builds pride in ownership of a community and a neighborhood. And I'm telling you, if you cut it and cut it and cut it to get the bare bones, you're not going to be as proud as you could be. And those homeowners aren't going to be as proud as homeowners. They're going to just have the basics, and we can't have just basics. So, I'd love to see what actual these things that are so alarming to the BIA that they're costing so much money that we have to take them out of our parks. We can't have that in our parks. It just seems, it's ludicrous to me just to discuss something that is not, it's short-sighted. We're not seeing the future of our kids' growth, recreation. The pandemic hit, one thing the kids had is they could go outside and be in the park. And if you take that away, like, well, we can't have that, can't have that, can't have that. It's just ridiculous to even think about the cuts. I don't know. I hear 5,000, I hear 10,000, I hear 8,000. I hear all these fees, and I go, I don't know are we cutting the quality of the apparatuses, of the facilities? Are we cutting the size of these things? We'll have picnic tables, but no shade. Cut the shade off because that's too costly. So people will burn. I don't care if they get skin cancer. These are things that we're just. We're trying to be nice. We're trying to do our due diligence. We're trying to get moving forward. We just named a new park, and for God's sake, that's going to be a beautiful park, and I can visualize it now. I'm having a hard time visualizing these future houses, the parks in Rio del Oro, the other ones, Even that big 95-acre community park, I'm having a hard time visualize what that could be because the scale of everything is going down and down, and we're compromising, and I'm not happy about it. So that's where I stand. So what do we do now?
So a decision as to how you would like to direct the staff,
Well,
to a motion to.
well, I should ask my directors if they want to make a motion on this, on the thing, but right now it's just a 3% on the administrative fee or something and the.
It's a
and the art.
1% administrative fee and a 2% for the art in the parks fee that's being proposed as a reduction.
I need a motion. If I'm not going to get a motion, I'm going to have to table this item. What? No motion? No motion, motion dies. Okay. We're going to have art in our parks.
So, okay.
So no action taken on item G4?
Correct. We need to find other things.
I
to
have a
reduce.
suggestion though, if I may, that maybe at the next Board of Supervisors meeting, that maybe the Board of Supervisors can hear directly. I'm sure you'd make a fine spokesperson on our behalf, Patrick, to bring to the Board of Supervisors the reasons why this board did not want to make this motion. I mean, I think you heard a lot of good reasons here tonight why we did not want to make that motion, and I think that the Board of Supervisors should hear those reasons.
I also, want to ditto on that. I also did not really, how would you say this? I didn't really hear them understanding what was being cut, how it went down to the fee that they're faced with. They keep talking about reduce the fee, reduce the fee, reduce. They don't even know the quality that they're trying to, that they're giving up, okay? And I don't think they totally understand that, that we have come so to where we just, hey, put it up there. Developers got to say, I'm selling houses in this subdivision. But guess what? You only have a small part. And guess what? You won't have any spray elements. And guess what? You won't have arts in the park. And guess what? Because this is what the money buys. You'll have people say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to give it to the developer. I'll give it to you. Build me a better park.
That's
because
the origin of special
that's-
districts, by the way.
Yeah, that's the sadness, really sadness. We're really a small speck, to tell you frankly. What we're trying to charge, 8,000, I'll make a bet with you, beside everything else, we're probably the lowest or the peanuts or whatever. And yet, when it comes to selling homes, you ask the survey. And you ask people, do you want to buy a house in a development and pay this much price and end up with a park that's 2.7 acres per thousand of you to dance in or whatever? Do you want to buy a house in this place where the park will not have state-of-the-art, will not have all these amenities that you would like your children to explore and enjoy?
So we will move forward with communications with the Board of Supervisors
Yes.
prior to the January 11th meeting. I would recommend we're going to set up individual meetings with the County Board of Supervisors prior to that next meeting. And if there's any board members that are available to meet with staff and the Board of Supervisors one-on-one, probably via Zoom, obviously, at this point.
Yeah.
I would encourage you guys, we'll look at schedules and see if we can set those up so that we can make sure that they are hearing our voice maybe louder than they have been hearing so far. So thank you for that. And we will look to set up some meetings soon after tonight's meeting so that we can make sure that they, have this all vetted out before they make their, I guess, next step on January 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, you made me think of something that was, there was a survey reported about by the BIA that people wanted the fees for developers to be reduced. But I would like the results of a survey for whether or not people are willing to pay for parks.
Have less of a part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because those are two separate questions, you know.
It doesn't matter, that the homes are still gonna be driven by the market value, and
Yeah.
in this market value, the homes are as high as they can possibly be, and people are paying $50,000 over asking price, so it's a crazy market right now. It's,
Can't last.
better hurry up and build that park, and the price will go up, keep going up. All right, so, do we just move on to item, is it G5?
Thank you. Item G5 is to adopt Resolution 21/22-25, amending the part-time hourly rate scales as required by California Code of Regulations, Section 570.5. And I'd like to welcome HR Manager Andrea White to the podium to present.
Thank you, Chair Sloan, Board of Directors. You have seen me every year for several years in December to amend our part-time hourly rate scale because of the increase of minimum wage. And so this is, for as far as I know, the final year where we're increasing minimum wage. It's in the news quite a bit, so it shouldn't be a surprise. We talk about it every year. And minimum wage in California for large employers is $15 an hour starting January 1st. So we would like to amend the scale, first of all, to reflect that change. And we are looking to amend the entire scale. Every single part-time wage rate will go up by $1. Every other year we alternate between, just bringing up the lowest paid positions, and then every other year we increase all of them by $1. So that's what we're proposing today. We'd also like to add one position. This is for our videographer, and that position we would like to add is currently filled by an independent contractor, but we would like to provide consistent videography services for future board meetings. This is at the same hourly rate, so there is a slight fiscal impact where we would pay a little bit more in wages and pay less in our 20 series for other professional services. So with that, I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Any public comment on this item?
No.
None.
None.
Secretary Reyes?
None.
Vice Chair Linebuck?
You know me. I have a question.
Good.
Sure.
I know it's simplified, and I know it's been difficult each year to have to keep increasing, the wages by so much. But I'm concerned that the steps between the lowest hourly rate is 25 cents per step, but by the time you get to the highest hourly rate, it's still 25 cents per step. So that really is a much, percentage-wise, it's a much smaller increase the higher up the pay scale you go. And there seems, it's kind of a fairness issue. I mean, I could drag my calculator out, but 25-cent raise for somebody who's making $15 an hour is a greater percentage than a 25-cent raise for somebody who's making $19.75 an hour. So there's no real equity that way, percentage-wise between the steps.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And it is our next item on the agenda, but our part-time scale will be reviewed and our part-time classifications will be reviewed in the study if the board chooses to authorize our general manager to sign that agreement with the total compensation and classification study. So it will be part-time and full-time, and I do believe that that's something that needs to be considered. It does, I understand what you're saying, it's, maybe like 1% between each step compared to, 7% or something at a lower wage rate. I will just happen to mention that the people at the top, the positions, not the people, but the positions at the top of the scale for our part-time, the part-time, are typically very limited positions. They, like, for example, the water aerobics. That person may only work 2 hours a week. The videographer may only work a few hours a month. I do believe that we should look at that, and I think that's something that we kind of are consciously, there's some other positions, to be honest, that I think should also be looked at closely, but we're choosing to not make any real drastic changes until we have a full study, hopefully conducted by the consultant.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions. So roll call vote, please.
No, I'll move.
Oh,
Chair-
motion,
Chair Sloan,
motion, sorry.
I will move that we adopt Resolution 21/22-25, amending the part-time hourly rate scales as required by California Code of Regulations, Section 570.5.
I have a motion by Secretary Reyes,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Linebaugh. Roll call vote, please.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Secretary Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye. Brings us to G6.
Thank you. Item G6 is to authorize the general manager to execute a consultant services agreement with Ralph Anderson and Associates in the amount of $49,385 to complete a job classification and total compensation study. And I'll turn it back over to Andrea.
I'm still here. Thank you again. I'm excited to bring forward this agreement for this consultant to do what I believe is a study that hasn't been done while I've been here at the district, so for a number of years. And I think the timing is great. We've talked about it for a number of years. And it is, as you saw in the RFP that we brought forward to you a few months ago, they're going to review all of our classifications. So that means our part-time and full-time classifications, and review all of the wages and salary and total benefit packages for all of our employees. We feel like we are just growing. We've got new parks, we've got expansion happening, and we'd really like to have a consultant who specializes in this field assist us with making sure that we are consistent with other like agencies. So we received 2 proposals. They were both great. We interviewed both of them. They both did a presentation. And we have brought forward a consultant services agreement with Ralph Anderson. We did check their references. I spoke to a couple other agencies, park districts specifically, including East Bay Regional, which is huge. And they have done excellent work for them, and we feel very confident and comfortable that they could do a great job within the time frame that we're looking for. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this?
No.
Director Danzel?
None.
Director Yearwood?
None.
Secretary Reyes?
None, thank you.
Chair Linebaugh?
None.
And I have none. Motion, please.
I move that we authorize the general manager to execute a consultant services agreement with Ralph Anderson and Associates in the amount of $49,385 to complete a job classification and total compensation study.
I have a motion by Secretary Reyes,
Second.
second by Director Danzel. Roll call vote, please.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Secretary Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye.
Thank you.
This takes us down to G7.
Thank you. Item G7 is to adopt amendments to Section 2.18 of the board policies for the Cordova Recreation and Park District. And I'll be presenting on this item, but also HR Manager White was privy to the conversations that happened with the board that directed this item. So of course, if you have any questions, also please call on her. This item is also related to item number H2B on this agenda. The last time the district appointed an agency designated representative was in 2018, and at that time it was determined the board chairperson would be appropriate. During the 2021 performance evaluation period for the general manager, the board desired to provide clarification on the intent of this appointment. As the election of the next board chairperson often occurs during the general manager's performance evaluation period, the board intends that the director who served as chairperson during the majority of the general manager's evaluation period would be more appropriate than the newly elected chairperson. So under the proposed policy amendments, I have added the language requested for agency designated representative. I would like to note that the board may change this representative at any time by voting in open session. And also, these representatives differ from the designated agency negotiators during property negotiation closed sessions. As a result of this action, there is also a staff report on this agenda to officially identify the representative in open session as required by government code. And that concludes my report, unless you have any further questions from myself or Manager White.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this?
No.
No. Director Danzel, any questions? Director Yearwood, any questions?
No.
Secretary Reyes?
No?
Vice Chair Lineback?
No.
And I have none either. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
I will move the Board of Directors adopt amendments to Section 2.18 of the board policies for the Cordova Recreation and Park District.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Lineback,
I'll second.
a second by Director Yearwood. Roll call vote.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Secretary Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye. Takes us down to G8.
Thank you. Item G8 is to authorize the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with JJA CPA Incorporated in the not to exceed amount of $700,000 for financial accounting services through fiscal year 2026. And I'll turn it over to CFO Matt Goodell.
All right, good evening, Chair Sloan, board members. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned the sweaters. I think everyone looks fantastic. Great job participating. Very proud of how you look and the words that you have tonight, so I commend you all. All right, so for this item, we're looking at a 5-year contract for independent professional auditing services. In September and October, the district published an RFP for those services, and we received 5 inquiries about it. 3 firms applied, 2 qualified, and 1 did not. They submitted their materials after the closure date of the RFP. So Finance reviewed those 2 applicants and is recommending the lowest bidder at $13,000. And that includes the services for doing the audited financial statements, the management letter, and the annual district financial transaction report, which is to be filed with the state controller's office. To be transparent, the winning firm is our current auditing firm. And so what I did prior to the RFP process, I did 3 things. I took a look at the legalness of it, of continuing with the auditors, and the government code states in section 124106B that the firm rotate lead auditors after 6 consecutive years, in which JJA CPA has done, and they plan on continuing to do so. Second, I asked the firm if they were even interested in bidding, and since they did, I took it further, another step. So the third thing I did is I looked at additional factors. I looked at the independence, and that's very important. Are the auditors free of personal, employment, business, and financial relationships with the district? And can they provide an unbiased viewpoint in the performance tests and issuance of the financial report? Also looked, are they reviewing our accounting procedures and our policies, which we know we've updated and follow, and verify that we're following best practices? The timing, can the firm follow a schedule that works for the district in terms of field work and providing the final report on a schedule and deadline that makes sense for us? And for me, it's 7 months from the end of the year. That's when our state controls report is due. So that's January 31st. And finally, is the auditing firm ethical? Does it understand our industry, have experience, and a good reputation? And so because of all those factors, I feel like they still qualified, that they followed all those. And with all that said, it came down to the competitive price between the two bidders. And JJA CPA was the lowest qualifying applicant, and that is my recommendation for tonight. So that is my presentation.
Thank you, Matt. Do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
We do not. How about my board of directors? Director Danzel?
No.
Director Yearwood?
Just real quick, out in the world in this industry, is it common for people to retain an auditor longer than the kind of that time frame?
Yes, it's less costly in the long run, usually. It's as long as, again, the lead auditors change is what it really comes down to. Sometimes with special districts, there's only certain firms that even dive into that. You know, they specialize in school audits or what have you. And so it's difficult to even find firms willing to step up. It just depends. I mean, as long, again, I think as long as the lead auditor changes, that's what needs to be done.
Okay.
Secretary Reyes?
Yeah, I'm glad you did your not only due diligence, but that you had said that they were, because I was like, these are the same CPA firm that we've been having, and that was my concern, exactly. One, you know, is this legal? Is it okay? You know, how does this work? Obviously, and then I do know at one time when we were on the finance committee that they were kind of slow with doing their jobs, and it wasn't on our timing. But have they been, and are they sure they're going to be on time? More
Right,
on the
absolutely.
time?
That's very important.
That's important. That became a very important qualification. So beyond that, you know, you've answered the rest of my questions. Thank you.
Vice Chair Linebaugh?
Yeah, first of all, the fee includes, the total of the fees includes an $8,000 single audit, only if federal funding over a threshold is received. What is the likelihood of that happening?
Yeah, we haven't come close. I think the current amount is $750,000. It'd be nice to receive that, but we have not
So you're
from
just,
federal funding.
worst case scenario budgeting, just in case we should get
Right,
that kind of money?
right. So the 107,000 includes a single audit.
Okay, which is unlikely to happen unless we, start rolling in gold?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, the basic audit was 13,000, which includes, again, the state controller's report.
Yeah.
In comparison to 20,800 for the second bidder.
okay. Then I would like to speak to the fact that this is the same agency that we've had now for, I think, 10 years.
Correct.
And while I understand and acknowledge that this is a legal practice, it is not a best practice.
Right.
And I think this district typically tries to go best practice. And so despite the difficulties you might have had getting RFP responses and things of that nature, I still don't think this is a best practice. It's not a reflection of how I feel they've done, though I agree with Secretary Reyes that their audits have been slow. I have no reason to believe they haven't been thorough and accurate and legal and all of those good things. But it's still not a best practice, and I wish we had done better.
Fair
Those are
enough.
my comments.
Thank you. I have no comment.
I will say, what we'll continue to do is regularly do an RFP process. I think that's very important that we don't stick with it. So at the end of this term, we'll do the RFP process again, and we'll see where we're at with these current auditors and how that independence is and the comfortableness and all that, and we'll address it at that time. But
Well, you're looking at a 5-year
15.
contract, so
Correct.
now you're looking at a same auditor for 15 years.
15 years.
Correct.
I mean, if I'm still on the board, I would like to draw a hard line in the sand the next time you go out to RFP,
Okay, fair enough.
you know? Yeah.
Thank you. So can I get a motion on this item?
I move the Board of Directors authorize the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with JJACPA, Inc., and not to exceed amount of $107,000 for financial auditing services through fiscal year 2026.
I have a motion by Director Yearwood. Second. Second by Director Danzel.
Correct.
Roll call vote.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood? Secretary Reyes? Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye.
Thank you.
So with that, we are at item H, Board of Director items. Board of Directors reports. Training, none. Board member, okay, board member reports. Do we have any reports, Director Danzel?
Trying to find mine real quick. I had some notes, but give me 1 second.
I think it's the Christmas.
166, that's why. Forgot how long the other one is in front of it. 35 pages. Mr. Goodell. Sorry. 166 is where we are. Cordova Community Christmas Tree. Every year it seems to get bigger. I had a discussion earlier today with the general manager, and I have to agree with him that, Rancho Cordova's got one of those things. We've got this Christmas tree, and then we throw the city council, the Cordova Community Council always has to do something over the top. Fireworks are there at Christmas time. One of the few areas that actually does that. But it's very unique. It's always a fun event. I'm going to tell you right now, the tower's got 244 light bulbs on it, and it took me 3 days to replace them all.
That looks great.
Not a fun project.
Were they all burned out?
Most of them were burnt out. That's why it hasn't been on. But, it's a great event. It's a fun thing to set up. It's a fun thing to work with. A lot of the community is finally, as we saw, those of us that were out there, the community is coming back. That park was quite full on that night, and we had great weather. So that's all I've got at this time.
Director Yearwood?
Thank you. Yes, I also attended the Christmas tree lighting. I saw Director Danzel for a hot 20 or 30 seconds, I think. I turned to talk to somebody else, and
He was gone.
he was gone. Yes, it was, again, well-attended. The weather, thank goodness, I think in years past, it always either rained on that day or rained the day right before or right before. So the place was a mushy mess, so. But yes, very well-attended. I was glad to see everybody kind of getting back out. I think the community really needed something. Fireworks, of course. I will say I was a little concerned because those fireworks were low.
Yeah.
They were hitting the crowd. So that's something we would definitely, I would say, needs to be addressed if we allow, I don't know, if we allow fireworks going forward, because they were clearly in some areas going into the crowd.
Yeah, I know the fire marshal was there earlier the day. The parameters were met for that event. There are times it is an explosive. I mean, And unfortunately, that's why they have those safety concerns, and they're set in place for that. I have not heard back from the rest. I haven't heard anything that came out of that other than
I mean,
those
it
comments.
was obvious it wasn't like the live mortars were going out.
No.
They were just the end sparkle, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word, the sparkly part was going.
Exactly. No, I
you know.
I agree with you. I was at the stage at the time and saw it. I have video of other people sent me that said the same thing. So
But yeah, it's again, well attended, tree looked great, fireworks great, cupcake was out there in all his glory, looking great, nativity scene. You know me, I love my cupcake, so. But that's it, that's all I got.
Secretary Reyes?
Yes, I was at the tree lighting. I was there kind of closer, like at about 4:30. And wonderful thing, because I had two grandkids. One was 2.5 and the other one was 4 months. So, and I did get an opportunity to bump into City Council member Linda Budge. She was walking her dog. I was able to go ahead and see how things were going with her. We spent some time talking, gave my condolences about her loss of her mom, asked how Mr. Garrison was doing, and everything seemed to be good. We did go around, there were a lot of people, so the lines were long, almost impossible to try and wait with kids that young. We did bump into Batman, who happened to be walking towards his site, so at least we got a picture of my grandson with Batman, and so that was nice. Our booth was nice, it was pretty busy. I noticed it was pretty busy, so I was able to just say hello to Shelley and have to leave her because there were a lot of people there. It was a lot. It was very crowded. It definitely felt good to see everyone. But unfortunately, I didn't get to stay and see the fireworks. I did hear from others that it seemed to have fallen a little close. I think about it because I've had experience where even with sparklers, one little, flick of the light there and it can burn a young kid. So I agree with my directors that maybe we just need to be more careful about that. Let the community council know that safety reasons, we have to be more careful. And the other report I have here is I attended the Sacramento Lafco Special District Advisory Committee with our vice chair, Lineback. It was really interesting. So what we're going to do is, in reporting, share our agenda, and we'll take turns here because it was a long one. We did have the announcement of the results of the LAFCO Special District Representative election, and that was Gay Jones for 4 years, yay. And the alternate was Charlie Moore. And then they discussed the LAFCO's MSRs, and they had a question, are they agendized, or being discussed in your district? I do remember the first time I sat on the LAFCO Special District Board, they were talking about MSRs. And I do know that the CRPD was in the process of doing a master plan exercise. So that was what they were going to use. I believe that's what we used. But they said that, to just get it agendized in the district. It's supposed to be just a snapshot of how the district is doing every 5 years as needed. And this is probably a good snapshot of our 5 years with all the award-winning parks and all the accomplishments that have come. These have been very, very good, strong couple of years here. The other thing that we discussed was they wanted to get suggestions on how to fill the vacancies of the seats at the special district. And one of the biggest things I was talking about was education. They need to really educate the members, or they have to have a little more information as to how it works and what one would be expected to do. And how they would be represented. They also suggested that they do personal calls, and Gay and Lindsay and Charlie, we're going to go ahead and make some touch base calls, I said, and offer some mentorship, that you introduce the new members to the whole group. It can be very intimidating to join a group like this. And so.
For
Vice-
that, and I had also made a suggestion that they let the districts know the benefits of providing representation on that board, that they simply may not know, what good their time will come to. Let's see, let's see, discussion on decennial redistricting and any impacts on special districts. So I'm not sure that they impact special districts only to the extent that your local representatives may change. And you may end up with divided, as we may even have now, but your special district could be in more than one legislative district, both at the county level and the state level. I think, yeah, and also for the MSRs, do they get agendized? I didn't know the answer to that question.
So when I first came on board in 2010, we were just in the process of completing our first municipal services review, and agreed we also contacted them when we were in the middle of the master planning process. But I do think it's probably a good idea for us to start including that on our agendas.
I think it was recommended. It was my memory at my previous employer that while the staff certainly worked on the MSRs, that it was not, the final product wasn't, in fact, brought to the board. It was simply sent off to Lafco. But they are recommending that it be at least the final product be an information item to the board. Let's see. There was also questions about, this was a little more technical. These were protest thresholds for Lafco decisions. So they were indicating they don't come up very often, but when Lafco makes an administrative decision, the protest threshold is 10%, I believe. And they felt that that was burdensome, and the protest threshold for third party, like if, for instance, an annexation was being requested by a city, the protest threshold has to be like 25%. And so they were polling the membership to see if they thought it was okay to have the protest threshold for Lafco administrative decisions, which Jose didn't seem to think had happened in his memory, but nonetheless was wondering if it could not be also 25%. But he said they don't do things in a heavy-handed way, so they don't go around, making administrative decisions that change special districts or other agencies, on any kind of a regular basis. My question about that was, how do you let the people who might be inclined to protest even know that such a decision was being contemplated? They do try with social media and things like that, but ultimately, you're talking about residents. When it comes to protests, it's typically the affected residents and how they find out about what Lafco is doing. I mean, I'm not even sure I knew Lafco existed until I started living in the special district world. But it was a really, did I miss anything, Inez?
No,
Oh, how are districts complying with the AB 361 and the new Brown Act accommodations? And I think, our district is well aware of those changes and that you have to pass,
Every
the
30
recurring resolution monthly and things like that. It seemed to be a good information item for some of the districts in that meeting. But we were pretty confident that our district
We
was
did it.
in compliance with
Yes.
that. Yeah.
That's it.
So it was a very long meeting, and I think that we've covered it all.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's my report as well. Chair Sloan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also attended the tree lighting. And yeah, this was a lot of people. There's a lot of people there. It was, people were just glad to be there. And what, like Director Danzel said, there was some issues. And for the first time, I tried to get a different location for my photographs because I'm always stuck behind I have to take pictures. I try to take pictures of the people doing the plungers, then running back to the fireworks, and I can't do that. So now I take the photographs of the guys plunging, but I do a mock plunge, and take that photograph, and then this time I went by the bathrooms, and they were lined off, and I just noticed on the other side of the bathroom facing the fireworks, there were some people standing there, and with even a double crib, a carriage with two little kids in it, and a fire marshal was right there, And as the fireworks started, I was trying to get the tree, people, and fireworks, which is impossible because the fireworks are up there, trees here, and people over there. But meanwhile, an amber lands 5 feet from that carriage. And it's not just an amber, it's a clump that's catching the grass on fire. So it was like this big. It was double hands, and the fire guy ran over and put it out. And I was just thinking, I just told him we really dodged a bullet here. Because, first of all, I guess those kids should never have been that close. Yeah, and so there was, we didn't have, if you think about it, I've seen them where they go sideways sometimes. And, it could be an array of smaller, like even the 4th of July fireworks that we do in the neighborhood. Kind of stuff like that would be kind of cool, but they want to make it this spectacular giant thing, and that's people come to see that, but maybe we need to get people further back so that maybe more people will have a better view, I think, personally. They stand by that walkway, where the walkway is and the trees, and you really can't get any, if you're not above that in the first couple of lines, you have the trees over your head so you can't see, so you have to get back further. But it was still a nice event. I was thankful to be there. That's all I can say. I know Santa's been other places too. I didn't get to go it, but I know that he was out and riding our trains, taking photographs of the little trains out there for the last 2 weekends. And he was at the senior center, and I saw him actually at KP Market. Came by when Garrett Gayward was leading the orchestra to aerobics. But that's my report, which takes us to...
Chair Sloan?
Yes.
Can I ask for a 5-minute little director's break?
Sure, why don't you ask?
Yes, may I? Can we take a quick 5-minute recess, please?
Okay, why don't we adjourn for like 5 minutes or maybe 8 minutes, and we'll reconvene here at about 8:35. All right, thanks. If I'd like to reconvene this meeting at 8:39, and I'm not sure where we are. So,
We're at
H2? Okay. This is a part.
H2, sweetie.
Right. So do I say something before this or after I'm ready to relinquish the gavel, then I can say something?
I think probably later on in the item.
Okay, very good, very good. So H2 is our time where we switch titles here. So we're doing election.
Yes. Item H2A is to elect board officers for 2022, which is the secretary, the vice chairperson, and the chairperson. Staff is recommending that the nominations and elections for officer positions be done individually through 3 separate actions. Per our board policies, board officer elections take place in December, and the officers are elected for a period of 1 year or until the election of their successors. In the analysis, the officer duties are listed there for you. There is no fiscal impact associated with these elections. I wanted to note that the outgoing chairperson may pass the gavel to the incoming chairperson at the conclusion of elections. The incoming chairperson will then run the remainder of this December board meeting, and then seating at the dais will change at the next in-person meeting.
Good. So, so I'm going to get a nomination for secretary.
I nominate Director Michael Yearwood for Secretary of the Board for the term of 1 year or until elected for a successor.
I have a motion for Director Yearwood to be secretary. Yes, second, please.
Second.
Danzel had the motion, and Secretary Reyes has the second. Roll call vote.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Director Yearwood?
Aye.
Secretary Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Aye. Next is someone to nominate director for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Director Reyes to serve as vice chairperson of the board for the term of 1 year and until the election of a successor.
And I have a motion to select Secretary Reyes to become vice chairperson.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Lineback, a second by Director Yearwood. Roll call vote.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Secretary-elect Yearwood?
Aye.
Director Reyes?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
And Chair Sloan?
Aye. Now, I'd like to make this nomination if I could. Do I do it now, before? Okay, am I saying now what I want to say, or do I?
Oh.
Okay, after I give the gavel away? I want to say this.
After the vote.
After the vote, okay. All right, it'll be symbolic. Okay, I got it. So I nominate Vice Chair Terry Lineback to become chairperson for the year 2022.
Second.
So I have a motion by Rick Sloan, who used to be chairperson.
Still are.
Oh, yeah, still. Oh, I haven't had a vote yet, okay. So I should talk slowly. For Terry Lineback to become our new board chair, and I have a second by, was that Secretary, your director.
Vice Chair-elect.
Vice Chair-elect, Reyes. Roll call vote, please.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Secretary-elect Yearwood?
Aye.
Vice Chair-elect Reyes?
Aye.
Director Lineback?
I believe that's Chair-elect Lineback.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Oh, okay. Well, then am I still the vice chair?
Vice Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Chair Sloan?
Oh, I'm still chair. If I say aye,
We're
I'm not
done
chair.
with 4
Aye.
votes.
Okay, so can I symbolically give it to her now?
Sure.
Okay,
Please do.
before I pass over this gavel, I want to just say what a remarkable year this was. If you look back let's look back first of all, 2020, and how we basically were, operations were closed as much as we could keep them open, we kept them open. This 2021 became our genesis, our rebirth. It saw programs revitalized. It saw recreation come back to life, and it saw pool being christened, and 5 other, I think, or 6 other parks too, or 7 parks. No, this year. Okay, but right, we saw a lot of action in the district, and I was so pleased to be in this role as chairperson. It was one of the highlights of my life. And I really appreciated everybody who brought this district to new levels. I really feel in importance and where we stand as a special district in this region. Thank you all. With that, I will give this to.
Thank you,
You have to
Chair.
stay, though.
Oh, we don't move.
Thank you, Director
I'm just going to clean my
Sloan.
spot up.
Oh, yes, Director Sloan.
Thank you very much for your service.
Is there any
and
public
time.
comment? Oh, Terry has to say.
You stole my poem for next month, Rick. You stole my poem.
You have a poem?
Yeah, it's under the.
Oh,
You stole my words for my poem already. But that's okay. I'll still do it next
come
month.
on, Director.
I didn't do a Dr. Seuss thing here.
All right,
Okay.
move along.
So I would like to personally thank you for your year of service to this board, and I think you know, along with Director Danzel had to be chair during the time of COVID and Zooms and the difficulties those meetings presented for us all. And I think on the various park openings, and in particular the pool opening, you represented this board really well for us. And besides, you take really great pictures, which you get to keep doing. And so, yeah, I would like to thank you very much for your service to this board in the last year and in the last, how many? 12
12 years?
years? So,
This is
thank
my
you.
12th year. It has to be 12, isn't it? 2008, I was elected. Someone do the
So
math.
somebody
Come
do
on,
the
man.
math. It's like.
Is this my
Thank you.
13th year? Oh, oh. That's not lucky. 13th year? Okay.
Oh, you're beginning your 14th year. That's lucky, right?
Yeah. No. Okay. All right.
Or something. Somebody, I've never been able to do math without a calculator, so. Okay, so that being said, our next item is H2B, right?
Thank you, Chair Lineback. Item H2B is to appoint the agency designated representative for closed session labor negotiations for the general manager employment agreement. And as you know, this is related to our regular calendar action item number G7. We have discussed the background of the item and how this changed our board policies at this meeting. The government code states that prior to closed session, the legislative body of the local agency shall hold an open and public session in which it identifies its designated representatives. The agency designated representative receives instructions from the board regarding labor negotiations, and General Manager Larkin will represent himself as the unrepresented employee. Staff may be consulted to discuss the agency's available funds and funding priorities. The result of this recommended action is that the agency designated representative will be identified on agendas for future closed sessions regarding this matter. For the majority of general managers' 2021 performance evaluation period, Director Rick Sloan served as board chairperson. The structure of this appointment is intended to continue through future general manager employment agreement labor negotiations, regardless of who is elected chairperson. And of course, the board may change the agency designated representative at any time through action in open session. Thank you.
Are there any public comments on this item?
There are not.
And would any of the directors care to either make a comment or a motion at this time?
No, Madam Chair.
A motion, I move that we appoint Director Sloan to be the designated representative for closed session labor negotiations for the general manager employment agreement.
I'll second.
Okay, so motion by Vice Chair Reyes, seconded by Secretary Yearwood. Roll call vote, please.
Director Danzel?
Aye.
Secretary Yearwood?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reyes?
Aye.
Director Sloan?
Aye.
And Chair Lineback?
Aye.
Great.
So now we will move on to comments by staff on non-agenda items, I-1.
Thank you. Item I1 is the district-wide monthly progress report for December, and I'll turn it over to General Manager Larkin.
Good evening again, Chair Lineback. Welcome. Fantastic. All right, some highlights from this past month. One thing to note is at the golf course, we had to look at doing an emergency purchase for some netting. The netting associated with the front end of the golf course entrance to the parking lot and out towards Jackson Highway. There was a gap discovered that became a safety issue, so we had to expedite a facilitator to get out there and fix that problem as soon as possible. So we got 3 quotes for those repairs, and we're hoping to get someone out there as soon as possible to fix those issues, as well as the east side of the driving range to extend those nets while they were doing that work. It was most cost effective to do that work at the same time. So just wanted to report that out to the board. We have also met with the County of Sacramento related to their Wi-Fi in the Parks project, which was a part of the COVID-19 relief funds that they received. Unfortunately, this has been going on for quite some time now. However, the funding that they have and the project scope has changed from the original to another iteration, and now to an iteration that would cost our district $800 per park site to install Wi-Fi in that park. So at this time, we are pending our participation in this. They've decided to pursue a pilot program with this in Galt. And so therefore, we will come back in January to see how that pilot program went. But it is cost prohibitive for us to move forward with an $800 cost per park for Wi-Fi in the park. So we will reevaluate that at that time. Correct.
Monthly cost, right?
Monthly costs,
It's
correct.
monthly cost per park.
Correct.
Thank you.
So a little difference to what we originally thought we were getting into. So we'll have more information after the January meeting as to where we stand with that project. We, as you know, presented the Nexus study and park impact fees to the County Board of Supervisors. We had a great discussion earlier this evening. We are planning on moving forward with scheduling meetings with each of the Board of Supervisors. We would appreciate any boards, also participating in that. We can have no more than 2 board members representatives so that we are within the Brown Act and making sure that we don't have a majority. So we are going to schedule with the Board of Supervisors availability prior to the January 11th meeting. And we'll reach out to you to see what your availability is during that time period so that we can advocate, like you did this evening, directly to those Board of Supervisor members. We also met with the foundation this past month. They are going to be the lead for the Polar Bear Plunge fundraising event. Becky's done a great job with the recreation staff in planning some new activities for that event. And we're excited. We just secured Good Day Sacramento, and so they will be out there filming a segment and hopefully maybe plunging with me. We'll see. So this time I won't accidentally fall into an inner tube right before I'll be intentionally jumping in this time, I guess. Also, the highlights for the holiday closures are in your board packet. The district office will be closed to the public December 23rd through January 3rd. And also on January 19th at 6:30 p.m., the district's demographer consultant for the district Redistricting Insights was their company name, will conduct the first of 5 required public hearings in the process of the board's consideration of transitioning by district elections. So that is going to kick off our new year. And so it is a public hearing requirement. We also have 2, I believe, public hearing meetings in the month of January. So we will make sure that you guys are aware of those. Also, I attended a CPAC meeting, and Terry was there as our representative. We had a developer who is looking to make some land use changes, and so we found out a couple days prior to their proposal to CPAC. So we were able to jump on the call and redirect this developer back to us before any approvals were made to adjust any PDAs that have already been approved, as well as pay the deposit and also fill out the application for our staff to work on any changes that they were proposing. So I appreciated the CPAC's comments in that they acknowledged and recognized the district's role and that they redirected this developer back to us before they would move it forward. So it was a great meeting. I think it was also, something that the county staff that were representative on that are now very conscious of, making sure that that happens prior to just going through the motions of it. So I appreciated that a lot. The dedication plaques were mounted at the pool. So they are officially installed. They look fantastic. Thank you, Laura Taylor, for staying on them and getting that done. I would encourage you to check it out if you can. It looks fantastic. We had a great Fetterspiel Park improvement public outreach meeting. And we talked about the project that we'll be doing at the Fetterspiel Park. Today, me and Christina James had walked the property to show the construction and design documents to Angel Ball, who was the applicant. So we took a nice walk in the freezing cold and saw where we're going to actually lay out the paths. And so we are protecting the trees. We're protecting the integrity of the active space at that park. It was great. It was nice to see where the benches will be placed, where the sidewalks will be. It's a little kind of meandering path. It's not like necessarily internal. It's kind of external and then comes in and then comes back out and then comes back in a little bit, so that we could protect those trees and the roots and the integrity of the park. So she appreciated that. I think it was great for us to be able to provide that service for her and give her that visual. So I'm going to, at that point, turn it over to our Director of Parks and Recreation, Jill Nuns, for the Parks and Recreation Marketing and Golf Report.
Yeah,
How do you like that?
love it. Good evening, Chair Leinbach, members of the board. Happy holidays. Got a few highlights this evening. Super excited in Recreation that we received another grant. This is the second year in a row for the Junior Tennis Fund Sacramento grant in the amount of $1,800. I think you all know that I'm very passionate about tennis, and so I love that we received another grant because this past year we were able to serve 74 youth in this program out at Heron Landing Community Park. And so this is just another opportunity for us to get out into our community and get more kids playing tennis. So super excited, proud of Nina and her staff for applying for the grant and then receiving it again. So the great news for tennis here in the Cordova Recreation and Park District. I'm also very proud to announce that we have 2 brand new certified pool operators. I've personally been through this test, and it is not an easy test to go through. So now we have Brandy Dion, who is one of our Recreation Supervisors 2s, and Daniel Fulmer, who is a Park Maintenance Worker 1. They both attended the course and passed. So we have 2 more CPOs. Very proud of both of those staff members. Very nice. The other highlight is in marketing and communications. Our winter play land guide is now out for the winter. So I'm sure you've received that via email as well as through Danielle who sent you the information. But the digital recreation guide is out, and we're hoping that this is the last digital recreation guide we do for a while. The next one will be a hard copy. Shelby's already working with staff to get that produced. So I appreciate everyone's flexibility as we worked through COVID and some constraints on our budget to do the digital guide. I think it turned out fantastic, but now it's time to go back to the hard copy. So we're excited to do that. And then just like most of the board members had already reported on, Shelby and one of our staff members, Tyler, attended the community Christmas tree lighting, served as our representative for CRPD, was busy all night, all day long, but your feet weren't wet. And that's the first time in a long time that you guys didn't get wet from the ground. So that was the highlight of the day. So appreciate you guys stepping up and going to the event. And then I will chat with General Manager Patrick Larkin about the tree lighting and moving forward with the fireworks. So duly noted. For the Board of Directors special event invitation, we have the annual employee recognition event coming up this Friday, December 17th, which is upstairs from 9 to 10. hope that we can all see you there. We're going to have a white elephant gift exchange as well, so come dressed in some other sweaters or anything holiday festive, whatever you want to come to the party with. And then the Cordova STEAM Preschool Winter Celebration is also on the same day over at the Hagen Community Center from 10 a.m. to noon. So after the party, if you want to go over to Hagen Community Center and celebrate the STEAM Preschool kids. And then the Polar Bear Plunge, like Patrick had already mentioned, it's coming up on January 8th. We've got to think about what we're going to wear. We have to figure that out. But anyways, it's going to be from 9 to 11. So we hope to see you there. The last thing I wanted to cover is an article in the Sacramento Bee. Cordova got voted as one of the top courses in the region. I love that the golf course is thriving, so congratulations again to Chase and his staff, as well as the Cordova Recreation and Park District, because we're definitely on the map, and we've been voted as one of the top courses. So very proud of everyone, including this district. So this actually concludes our last report of the year. So I hope everyone has a very happy holiday and a happy new year.
Okay, thank you. So now we move on to item J, item J1.
Thank you. We have our articles, correspondence, and public outreach. And then item J2 is your calendar.
If there are no comments or questions from the board, we'll move on to item K, closed session.
Thank you. We have 4 items in closed session this evening. Item K1 is a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9, Cordova Recreation and Park District versus the City of Rancho Cordova, Sacramento Superior Court Case Number 34-2021-833705. Item K2 is a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9, Christopher Pescatello versus the Cordova Recreation and Park District, State of California Case Number RCI-CM-809592. Item K3 is a public employee performance evaluation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957, title General Manager. And item K4 is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency designated representative is Director Rick Sloan. The unrepresented employee is General Manager.
Okay, so we will now recess to the closed session at 9:04.